a great time.
It's finally here. The final beta test of Where Winds Meet is running right now, and everyone seems to really enjoy their time in the game, me included. And I've even streamed some gameplay on Twitch and also gave out some beta keys for the game, and it's great. And one thing that is very special about this beta is that the MMO mode is finally unlocked and everyone can test it out by themselves. And in today's video, we are going to talk about the question, how much MMO is Where Winds Meet actually? So I'm going to cover all the features of this game mode, and I'm also going to let you know what's good about them and also criticize them. But before we start with this video, I just quickly wanted to say thank you to everyone because we have surpassed the 1000 subscriber mark after just 8 weeks since this channel has been created. Your kind words in the comments and on the Discord server and also on Twitch are absolutely amazing. Thank you for the support. And as a small thank you, I wanted to give out $50 on a game store of your choice. So if you want to participate, just make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and leave a comment under this video with whatever you want to say. And I will pick a winner in 2 weeks. And if you are the winner, I'm going to let you know by responding to your comment and telling you that you have won. And I gotta say that I recently felt like I want to do this YouTube thing like for real. So if you want to support me to grow and potentially create more content for you, consider leaving a like and also leaving a sub to this channel. That really helps me out. And you could also check out my Discord server if you want. We talk about games and you can find other people to play with. But let's go back to the topic and let's deep dive into the MMO aspect of Where Winds Meet. First of all, if you don't know what Where Winds Meet is and don't know about the basics of the game and the good and the bad things, the very first video on my channel was a basic preview to the game. So you should absolutely check that out. I will link it in the top right corner of the video right now. And if you know absolutely nothing about the game, I will not go into too much detail on what Where Winds Meet actually is in this video. So you should check out the video that I have already made. So make sure to do that. Like, seriously, check it out. Do it. As I already said, I'm not going into too much detail on what Where Winds Meet actually is, besides simply saying Where Winds Meet is a soon-to-be-released free-to-play and non-pay-to-win wuxia-themed open-world action RPG that functions as a hybrid MMO and will frequently be updated with new content and new seasons, so it is a live service game. Now, some of you might have never heard the term of hybrid MMOs before, so I have to admit I didn't know that myself before that too, but it is a thing, which is why I'm going to cover this topic next, and I'm going to explain what that actually means. So basically, Where Winds Meet has 2 different major game modes. The first major game mode is what I would call the player's world, and they call it the solo world, which is a little misleading. And in this version of the game, you basically do the main story quest, you can do side quests, you can learn skills and new fighting styles, you can fight world bosses, you can do the whole exploration part of the game, like unlocking teleport stones and finding chests and doing mini games. You can even build your own base or your own home. And this is also the mode where you unlock like most of the abilities in the game. And you can do that completely by yourself, or if you want, except the main story quest, you can also invite friends and do most of the stuff in co-op. To be precise, you can do everything besides the main story quest or like some side quests in co-op. And we actually kind of asked ourselves, like, what does it mean to do it in co-op for everyone involved? And what I can tell you is that most of the stuff that you do in co-op will actually only count for the host, and everyone that helps you will get a special currency for helping you out. However, some of the features like the world bosses, for example, will be done for everyone that has participated, even in their own versions of the solo world. Which means the co-op is not perfect. It's certainly better than in some games like Genshin Impact or something like that, but it is still not perfect. So you have to do most of the stuff and exploration yourself, but you can go and help your friends if they need help, or if you have some spare time, or you are like further ahead or something like that. Now, the second version of the game, and the focus of this video, is the MMO mode. You can think of it like GTA Online or Red Dead Redemption 2 online, just with less pew pew and more. However, there's a major difference, and that is that you play the same character that you play in your solo world, and you bring your progress from the solo world to your MMO world and the progress from your MMO world to the solo world. The MMO mode is basically the same map, but without the main story quests and the side quests, and instead you have other players roaming around, resources to collect, and ways to socialize with other players and ways to play with them in different game modes. And these game modes are exclusive to the MMO mode, so it is content that you are not able to experience as a solo player. Actually, let me be precise on that. So one thing that you can participate in are PvE challenges like raids with a group of 10 players with actual raid mechanics and the holy class trinity like tank, healer, DPS, which unfortunately I couldn't capture because it's a level 51 content and I didn't hit level 51 yet. It's locked to the last day of the beta. But I have seen some gameplay from China and it's pretty cool. It looks pretty decent and pretty fun. And you also have sword trials, which contain a stage mode with rising difficulty and multiple enemies that you have to fight with your friends. And also boss modes with up to 5 players that have actual mechanics. And I really like the idea that the game still has the Holy Trinity in its core gameplay. Like the group leader can determine who is the main damage taker, and the boss will mainly focus its damage on him, but he will also attack other players frequently, so the main damage goes to the main damage taker though. So you should choose the player that is just perfect at parrying the boss, and well, the healers have to focus on healing that person, and well, the DPS players of course have to do damage. And these raids and boss modes rotate in seasons, so they always have new stuff to do, so it's pretty cool. The next thing that you can participate in the MMO mode is PvP. And this contains a PvP arena mode with 1v1, 2v2, 3v3 and 5v5 matches. And it also contains a battle royale and extraction kind of combined mode where you actually don't bring your own gear and abilities, but you are able to like loot gear and loot abilities and loot weapons in this game mode. So it's pretty balanced. It's a pretty fair mode. Everyone starts from scratch, and there's a lot of stuff to do in this game mode, like vendors, like small missions that you can do. There's also PvE mobs to fight while fighting other players, and it's pretty special actually. And the third way of participating in PvP is the bounty hunting system. So if a player like violates the law to a huge extent or receives a bounty by another player, you can accept this bounty mission and you will have 15 minutes to kill that player. One thing that is important to know about this is that if the player is in his solo world and he has a bounty, you can actually invade him in his solo world, like in Dark Souls, for example. So it's important to know that even though you are in your solo world, if you have a bounty and if you break the law like to a huge extent and you kill NPCs and steal a lot, or if another player gives you a bounty, then you are not safe. You can always be invaded. And if there's like no player to hunt, but you like bounty hunting, you can also accept bounty missions to hunt NPCs that have a bounty on their head. So they are of course like not a real fight, but it's a way to like earn some rewards. The funny part about this is that if a player with a high bounty actually gets killed, he will be put in a cage and there will be a parade through the MMO world where other players can throw eggs and trash at him, and I just think it's so funny. Well, besides that, you have lots of casual co-op activities and social games that you can do with other players as well, such as, for example, cultivation to receive some rewards. You can do running together to increase your constitution. You can play cards and mahjong. Good luck with that. Like Chinese games, I absolutely don't understand anything. I have no clue what I'm doing. You can play music together, you can dance, you can create your own music and play it in game. You can fight in sumo matches, you can enjoy a firework, you can take a bath to relax with your friends, if you had friends. and much more. So there's a lot to actually do in the MMO mode, which is pretty cool. And you will receive rewards for everything you do in this multiplayer mode of the game. One specific thing that I think is very cool in this game is a healing function. So your character can actually become sick or hurt himself very bad, like breaking your leg or having a trauma or even having depression. So you could go to an NPC and pay a certain amount of money so he heals you, or you could search for another player that does the healing job instead and technically doesn't cost money if he doesn't ask for money. So he will get rewards for healing you and increase his healer level, and you will potentially save some money. And this comes with a mini game where your healer is actually playing a game of Yu-Gi-Oh against your disease. And if you ignore your disease, or like healers fail a lot of time, it can get so bad that you need a very high ranked healer to actually heal you, or like even multiple healers to actually heal you, which is kind of funny. I think it's a cool system. And it's exactly these kinds of sandbox elements that I love in games that actually make player interact with each other, and I wish to see more. And beyond that, the game also offers trials with seasonal ranks for lots of the PvE content. Like, for example, there is a solo ranked of no damage runs, or even just quickest speed runs of the world bosses, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty interesting way to allow PvE players to compete against each other without doing PvP. The next thing that you can actually do in the MMO mode is joining a sect in the game, which is like joining a martial arts school. And that comes with sect exclusive benefits like certain cosmetics and also some sect specific items that you can get with a special currency. And beyond that, ultimately you can also join a guild in the game, which comes with a guild base, which is really huge actually, where you can spend time with other guild members and unlock different buildings and build something. And you can also do duels in a specific arena, to duel ranks out maybe. And guilds also come with Guild Wars, which is the large scale PvP in this game. And I didn't get to test it because it was not available in this beta, but I've seen some footage of it and it seems pretty solid. But it also makes certain weapons more important that are like focused on AoE attacks and ranged attacks, but it's a pretty interesting mode. All of these game modes are technically available in the MMO mode and give you additional specific rewards that are exclusive to the MMO section of the game, like certain cosmetics, upgrade materials, crafting material, and also endgame gear, which ultimately means that if you want to access all the rewards of the game and max out your character and have all the cosmetics in the game, you will have to ultimately participate in the MMO mode, which might be a problem for some of you who just wanted to play this game as a solo player mode game. That's not the case. However, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like the PvP in the game does not give you exclusive rewards. It just gives you additional currency that you can use for the MMO rewards in the MMO shop. So if I'm not wrong, you can technically avoid PvP and still unlock most of the stuff in the game. But if you're looking for a single player offline game, unfortunately, Where Winds Meet is not the game that you are looking for. It is a live service online game that combines solo play and MMO features into, well, what I already said, a hybrid MMO. Let's jump over to talk about some specific areas of the MMO mode and what I think is good about them and what's bad about them. But just a quick disclaimer, this is my personal opinion, so everything I say is just my perspective, so if you have another opinion, feel free to share that in the comment section. So let's start with the PvP specifically. And as you guys know, I am a huge fan of PvP because this is kind of the real end game for me if I learned all the bosses, which is why I have done some fights in the game to tell you how good the PvP actually is. And I really think that the PvP in this game is extremely good, and it's one of the best features of the game that I have played so far. And it's hard to compare it to other games, really. Like, most of the action PvP games are kind of over the top, like Black Desert, and other PvP games are a lot slower and more strategic. And I think that this game is like, it has a good balance and is somewhere in between. The cool thing is that you can use everything at your proposal. So you can use light attacks, heavy attacks, all the abilities, weapon switches, ranged weapons. You can use the bow, and you can even parry every attack in the game. And you can simply just play defensive and go for the parries. And if you are extremely good at timing the parries, you can break the enemy player by just parrying all of his attacks. If you want, you could just go for the defensive playstyle and the parries and let the enemy come to you. But that requires some like very, very good and specific timing, so it's not easy, let me tell you that. And I also think that the PvP is highly skill-based, so you can even beat someone that is like 12 or 15 levels above you if you are just good at the PvP. Like I have already won battles against players that are like 12 levels higher than me, basically by just never letting them attack me and being very strategic with when I engage, how I disengage, and I just never let them attack me, kind of. And I think this is a good sign. Like, if you can actually win a battle just by being the better player, that's always a good sign for PvP for me. Also, you gotta make sure that if you watched any PvP from low-level players, maybe on Twitch or somewhere, and they kind of said that there's like perma-CCing or anything like that, and they got locked down and couldn't do anything. You unlock lots of features in the game by progressing and leveling up. For example, an ability to break out of combos. So they might have not played far enough to actually have access to this ability, so it's just uninformed. So the PvP is insanely good, but it's not perfect. And that simply comes from the fact that some weapons in the game feel significantly stronger than other weapons in the game. For example, the dual blades, which have insanely high DPS and long combos, and they have the option to go into a like rage mode where you are CC immune for a while, which is just insane. Like, high DPS and CC immunity it's a bit too much. And I know this weapon is going to be meta because it's still meta in China. People mostly play this weapon in PvP, which is a problem. But you can certainly outplay that weapon by simply just being the better player. So instead of going with the meta weapon, I would say in this game, you are perfectly fine by just playing whatever you want to play and just saying, nah, I'd win. One thing I wanted to note is that the healing felt extremely overpowered in PvP. And even if my enemy was like 20 levels down, he could just simply out-heal my damage in PvP easily. I was not able to kill them at all. But if you made the same experience or saw someone that made the same experience, let me calm you down, because this is just a bug. Because in PvP, in arena and stuff like that, healing is nerfed a lot. Like, it is fair, you can use it and it makes sense if you are a very good defensive player, but it's not even a fraction of what it did in duels in the game. And unfortunately, they simply forgot to apply this nerf to open world duels. Like, most of the players that you might have seen on Twitch or on YouTube just simply did open world duels, and it was just a bug. They didn't apply the nerf to the heal. But if you actually played like the queue arena, or you went to your guild arena, basically the nerf didn't even a fraction. So they just forgot to add it to the open world PvP, and it's actually nerfed. Overall, I would say that the PvP is a solid 8 out of 10, and it was one of the most fun aspects of the game for me. And of course, there's always room for improvement. So while some abilities felt like really fluent, other abilities and animations kind of felt a little clunky sometimes and out of place. And also there's like no real fighting in the air, which is kind of wuxia typical, and I kind of miss that in the game. So if they improve on these two things and the balancing is all right, I think that the PvP could be a 10 out of 10 for me. One of the best MMO PvPs that I had ever. When it comes to the Battle Royale mode, unfortunately, I didn't get any queue pops because of the very low player count that we had in this final beta test. But I had the first match, which was against bots, like this first tutorial match that you always get. And what I've seen so far is that the Battle Royale mode is a lot of fun. Like, you start with nothing and you find the equipment, find the weapons, find the abilities in the game, and you fight other players. You fight PvE mobs, you have missions that you can do in the map to get better gear. Then you can basically try to be the last surviving player or you try to extract early. And I think that this first match that I had against bots was extremely fun, and you have to adjust to what weapons you find, and I think that's a pretty cool system. And I see myself playing this game mode like mostly when the game is out. I can't really tell like if this is just my first experience or if the game mode has some problems, because I was only able to play it once, so it's hard to like give you more feedback on that. So I will cover this when the game comes out. One important thing about the PvP that I wanted to tell you though is that I think that mouse and keyboard players might actually have a small advantage over controller players, which simply comes from the fact that using these 8 abilities needs way less inputs on the keyboard compared to the controller, and also navigating the UI in the Battle Royale mode is like far quicker on mouse and keyboard, which might give you an advantage. And the game might have crossplay, PC and console, so this could potentially be a problem if there's like always on crossplay matching. But let's jump over to the next topic, which is the PvE content in the game. So the MMO mode offers many ways of participating in PvE together, and I think that they are like really good. They did a great job with all of these PvE modes. The bosses and the raid bosses have actual mechanics like stack markers and other stuff that you know from other raid bosses in MMORPGs. And for the late game bosses, you will have to eventually set up a team of healers, damage dealers, and a tank or multiple tanks. And it's always a good thing if games have a holy trinity. I think it just scratches an itch. And it's a good thing that it's not just a boss like in Genshin Impact that does nothing and you just do your rotations and the boss just stands there and deals damage by existing. So the endgame bosses will actually give you a harder time, and they might even feel like Sekiro bosses when you do them the first time. Doing Sekiro bosses in multiplayer is pretty cool, I think. And beyond that, the trial system also encourages speedrunning and trying no-hit runs. So it's a cool way for PvE-focused players to actually compete against other players and not like doing all the stuff for themselves, which is also pretty cool. The only downside to the PvE section of the game is that raids and bosses are typically bound to the stamina system of the game. So you will always get rewards for like doing them, but in order to get like the full rewards and your chance to get endgame gear and potentially even cosmetics, you will have to spend stamina, and you have a daily limit. The good thing is that you are not able to buy stamina, so it's not pay to win. Everyone has like the same limit, but the bad thing is that you are limited on how much you can farm per day, and many people don't like that. So this might be a red flag for you. You can still get rewards for doing it even though you don't have stamina. In order to get the endgame rewards and a chance to get the skins, you will have to spend your stamina. And it also comes with the risk that if you queue at a very late time at a day and everyone already had their shit done, you eventually don't find a queue, which is, it's also a problem. So ultimately, this might be a turnoff for some of you. I'm kind of fine with that, but I think it could have been better without the stamina system, not gonna lie. The next big topic that I wanted to cover and also criticize is the MMO feeling of the game. First of all, I wanted to say that the MMO modes feel like there's a lot of stuff to do. Like you have so many options on what you can do in the MMO section of the game with other players, like raids, PvP, bosses, guild wars, boss challenges, social games. There's a lot to do. So this is a good thing if you are into MMO modes, and I will also see myself participating in all of that stuff. However, I still have some major issues with the MMO feeling of the game, because I feel like the MMO world doesn't really feel like an MMO world. Let me be more specific. It simply comes from the fact that you can just basically queue everything over the menu, and most of the game modes will just teleport you to the location where you have to go, and then you can just participate, or just a queue pops for PvP. You can just get a queue pop and then you are in the arena and you fight your fight, and then you go back to whatever you were doing before. And due to your progress in the solo world, you will bring that over to the multiplayer world and it will already be explored. You can't even do most of the exploration stuff in the multiplayer world, so finding chests and stuff like that just isn't the case in the multiplayer world. And you do all of that in your solo version of the game. So there's nothing really to explore in the multiplayer world. Like there's no reason to move around the MMO map, really. You can just do almost everything over the menu and queue for almost everything. Besides collecting resources in the online world, there's no reason to move around. And on top of that, there's like no open PvP, no flag system, so except bounty hunting, but that also comes with just accepting the bounty hunting mission over the menu, and then you can simply teleport like very close to that person, and not like you don't have to find him, you can just teleport to him. So again, there's no like real reason to spend time in the online world. And you also can't build anything in the online world, so it's only possible in the solo world. I kind of understand that because of like how complex the server structure would need to be in order for your building to actually exist permanently when other players might have built at the same location and stuff, so it's still non-existent. And to make things even worse, I heard that the MMO map has a channel system, and if my information is correct, I might be completely wrong, but if my information is correct, you only have a maximum amount of 32 players in your channel, which means that on this huge map, you'll eventually just meet 32 players at the same time, and they will probably not be at the same location where you are, so it's hard to even see anyone. And if you don't queue for stuff, you will eventually never really see anyone, or like very rarely, which is kind of odd to me because the guild base can actually hold 100 players, so you can see 100 players in the guild base at the same time. And I kind of don't understand why this is not the case for the online mode. That makes no sense for me. It's kind of odd. Maybe my information is wrong, but that's what I was told. But if I'm wrong about that, please correct me in the comment section. And another thing that kind of makes me really sad is talking about the missing sandbox behind the game. And I might be a bit biased because I'm desperately looking for like the successor of Age of Wushu, but I do think that they are kind of missing out on the sandbox potential of the game. And it's kind of sad for me. Some of you might not even care, but I do care. Like, I wish this game was a Wuxia sandbox. Like, you do have the healing function in the game, and you do have social games that you can just queue up for, but that's about it. Like, cultivation in the game, for example, or running just takes a couple of minutes and you hit your daily limit. So you don't even need multiple people. You can do that by yourself. So you will eventually just go into the multiplayer world, like do the cultivation for 2 or 3 minutes, then you're done. Bye-bye. And healing invitations can also just be accepted over the world chat, and it goes pretty fast. Like, someone posts like, I need a healer, and a clickable link, and people can just click on it, go there, heal them, bye-bye. Like, no communication on where are you, I'm coming to you, stuff like that. You just click it, teleport there, heal him, see ya. And beyond the guilds and guild war functions in the game, that is as much sandbox as you get from the game. Like sumo, playing music, dancing, stuff like that. Everything just works over a queue system, over the main menu. You just click on it, teleport there, do your stuff. That's it. And Age of Wushu kind of made you actually spend time in your school that you chose, talking to people, training with them, cultivating with them, like the majority of the game time. And I think that was just amazing. I loved it. But in Where Winds Meet, you don't have to talk to anyone if you don't want to. It's really not necessary. So the only real sandbox feeling will come from players that actually want to actively spend time with others and search for the chat and search for doing stuff with others, or like search for rivalries. And they will probably keep the Wuxia world feeling alive. Another example are like the sects in the game, like the schools. They have no real meaning. Like, there is no school versus school battles. There's no internal ranking battles in the schools like in Age of Wushu or anything like that. And beyond the cosmetics and like some specific school exclusive rewards, there's no reason to even join a school, because you can unlock every weapon, every fighting style, every skill in the game without ever joining any school. There's also like no kind of interaction with other players in your school. Like, it's absolutely not necessary to talk to anyone. There's only one specific school that interests me, and that actually has a sandbox system, because in this school you can actually attack players from your school that have a higher rank in the open world at any time, and if you beat them, you will get their rank and they will be downranked. So I think that's a pretty cool system, which comes with a problem because someone told me that in the Chinese version of the game, these players will always have lots of healers around them and will be healed, and you cannot attack these healers because they are not in the school. So, but this is like the only school that I think offers some sandbox feeling and that I will potentially join. Not because I think that the school looks cool or like the outfit looks cool, I just want the sandbox. Ultimately, I think that there's just a huge missed opportunity here, and the game is like made for an audience that just wants to start the game and do their daily stuff and leave. Of course, like after progressing through everything, which takes a lot of time, but if they are done, they just simply want to come online, do their daily stuff and leave. And I think that's a like kind of sad development of the gaming industry. Like when I think back to old wuxia games, you didn't go online to just do your daily stuff. You actually went online to spend time with other people, to talk to them, to spend time with them, to train and build rivalries, build friendships and stuff like that. And this game understands that players don't think like that anymore nowadays. I hope that the old days come back, kind of, especially like Age of Wushu. Like I spent so much time in this game just talking to others, but I'm losing the line here. But I feel like the wuxia community compared to others are very into socializing and spending time together. The good thing is that NetEase has shown like to be extremely open to feedback. They have asked me multiple times to provide feedback about the game so they can improve on it. And I really just hope they shift the game more towards a sandbox. But honestly, I should probably just accept it as it is and wait for like a real successor to Age of Wushu. This game is probably not meant like that, and that's fine. I just wish it was, but it isn't. But let's draw a conclusion for this video. So even though I might have said some negative things about the game, I still think that Where Winds Meet is absolutely amazing, and it will be one of my favorite games that comes out in the next, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 years. So if you are into wuxia games, you will simply have a great time. And I've seen many players in my community that like already played for over 50 hours in just a few days. So they seem to really enjoy the game. I just think that they could kind of really improve on the MMO aspect and the sandbox aspect of the game. And especially like the overall importance of the MMO game world. Make it like more part of the core gameplay. But what is in the game is extremely fun, extremely well made, and it will offer you a lot of engaging and good content. Overall, I have to say that I am extremely hyped about this game, and I can absolutely not wait to play it on the full release. And speaking about release, we have actually found some hints that might actually lead to the potential release date in the game, because we knew that the game might be out in 2025, and this was the final beta test. They said that this is the final and last beta test before release, so the release might be pretty close, and we have found some areas in the game that hint to the same date. Like for example, the PvP modes end at the same date, which is the 12th of September 2025. And I think that is a pretty realistic timing because it's shortly after Gamescom. It's 45 days after the last beta test. And I think that Sword of Justice eventually comes in October or has a beta in October. So bringing this game like 1 month before would make sense. So I would love to know what you guys think about the game so far. What do you think about the MMO features of the game? Are you fine that this game is a little less sandbox and less MMO in a traditional MMO way? And also, what do you think is the release date? Like, do you think we might be onto something with that date? Do you think that this is realistic? I would like to know what you think in the comment section below, so please leave a comment. I always try to answer all the comments that I receive. And if you're looking for another MMO that might be coming out soon, I have made a video about my personal top 10 MMOs that are coming in 2025 and 2026. and that might be playable soon. So maybe check this video out. I think it's a good one. I've put a lot of work into that. And if not, I hope you're having a great day, and thanks for checking by. See ya.